Ever worried you might not perform in bed? You're not alone. In this episode, Sarah breaks down what so many men secretly struggle with: performance anxiety, awkward misunderstandings in the bedroom, and why long-term relationships don't have to mean boring sex. Welcome back to Grown Ups. If you're new here, we're two friends trying real tools for physical, mental, and emotional growth. We're not experts, but we learn from experts, and we share what actually works and what doesn't. In part 1, we uncovered why men actually go to a sex therapist, the hidden risks of porn addiction, and what it means when your morning glory doesn't show up anymore. Now in part 2, Sarah takes us even deeper. Let's dive back in.
Porn somehow related to also performance issues in bed?
Yeah.
So premature
Yeah.
ejaculation?
Yeah, for sure.
Or like not at all? Like
No. I would say, from what I heard at least, it increases the myths around performance in bed. That's part of the job also, like to break those myths, like talk about it. But it's more subconscious that they have specific expectations towards sex, and this happens subconscious because of what they watch in pornography.
Okay, let's do a little role play, okay? Let's assume assume I have performance anxiety.
Yeah.
And now I'm sitting here with you.
All
I mean,
right.
of course, we cannot do like a whole
Yeah.
hour of coaching, but how would you start? I mean, just so I'm curious. I'm Kevin, by the way, and I have performance anxiety.
Hi Kevin, nice to meet you. All right, tell me more about why do you think you have performance anxiety? What do you notice?
Yeah, so I want to be good in bed. So I want to make the other person see me as like someone who's performing good in bed, but I also want to please the other person.
So you want to be a pleaser, but also perform good. What does it mean to perform good in bed? What does that mean to you? Be
She's
lustful,
happy.
or
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you think it needs for her to be happy or lustful?
So I would, at this point, I would still like go one step back and say, I think for a working relationship, be it now long term or even short term, then like a sexual, like a matching sexual energy and like pleasement in bed somehow is, at least in my head, it's like a basic need or requirement. So like she having an orgasm and me having an orgasm, best case together, is something how I envision like a good sexual relationship.
Being sexually fulfilled and sexually happy is linked to both of you having orgasms.
I think right now, yes.
Why that?
I think this is not only my perception. There's something like external in that.
Okay.
Yeah.
What kind of external factor?
I don't know why, but I think this is like a truth I have in my head. So that being fulfilled means both having orgasm in bed.
Okay. When you look at just yourself, right? What is sex worth wanting? What needs to be there? What are like the key ingredients that need to be there for you to say, wow, this sex was worth wanting, it was fulfilling?
I think it's a mutual craving of the other person.
How can you see that? How do you notice it?
I think it's a lot of with touch and like with behavior and looking at each other and how you look at each other.
Okay, so there is like, you look at each other, you touch yourself, but both equally, or?
Yeah, both equally. I think I need to be seen by the other person.
You need to have the feeling you're seen. Okay.
Yeah. And I also want to see the other person.
Okay, and what does the other person have to do in order for you to feel seen?
I have more images in my head, like I have more this really soothing and like feeling wanted and touching and feeling the warmth of the other person.
I'm doing a little cut here to explain you, right?
Yeah.
So what's part of the process of sex therapy is also to learn how to focus really on yourself and to learn what do you personally need in order to have the sex for you that is worth to be wanted, right? So we always have a lot of images in our head, right? A mind map of how sex is supposed to be, but only you decide what right and good sex is to you. And it's very important to learn what you need in order to have good sex. And as you entered, right, when you come with performance anxiety, you always often have like a typical view of how sex needs to be, right? Oh, we both need to have an orgasm at the right time and so on.
Often not even
But
like what's coming from you, like it's more like an external view, what I said.
Exactly.
Like, I don't even know where
Exactly.
this is coming from, but...
See? Yeah, but we don't reflect critically on it,
Yeah.
right? So what I do here, I ask questions so that you start to reflect your own thoughts critically and then say, okay, actually, maybe for me that's not even the most important thing. And look when we look at studies, right? There's a study by Peggy Kleinplatz who did research. She examined people who have like great sex even until they're very old. And then she looks at, okay, what are the key ingredients to great sex? And some of the key ingredients were exactly what you just mentioned. You said, well, I want to look into the other eye, into each other's eye, right? I want to feel seen. So this deep feeling of intimacy, of caring for another. There's being present in the moment, like really being there, focusing, seeing your partner, feeling it. Then there is some kind of, fun. We laugh, we do crazy noises, we can laugh about it, we can joke about it. Just being open experiment, like being also wanting to feel allowed to take risk, right? And try, because you can trust the other person, that the other person will say no when he or she doesn't like anything. As long as the other person doesn't say anything, you feel safe to do whatever you want. It means that you're doing it right. So this kind of thing of experience, intimacy, being present in the moment. What's the interesting part about all of this, I don't have all of the 8 ingredients right now, but I know them by heart, but what we find out is that there's no orgasm. There's not even a stiffness of the penis involved. Oh wonder, because when you actually look at it, that's not what's needed in order to have fulfilling intimacy or connection. But we focus most of the times mainly on this, right? I'm not saying that this is not nice, right? Orgasms are amazing, right? For women, they help you end your period faster. They help you with cramps, right? They're like a normal painkiller. They help during birth, right? As a painkiller. There's a lot of good reasons to have orgasms, otherwise women would have, that's also a thing, if they're only there to have sex or have children, they would end with menopause, but they don't. Women can experience orgasms until they're 100. So I'm not saying orgasms are bad, but they're not the main focus, or they shouldn't be the main focus on what's worth having sex. But in the end, that's your decision. If for you that's like a key ingredient, then that's fine. I'm not saying, I'm not telling you what is right or wrong. You decide on your own what is right for you.
You said you need to somehow understand what is important for you for having good sex, but you still, it's like a game you play in 2, no? So you also need to understand what the other person likes, no? So isn't there a equilibrium again that you need to find of like, what do you like, communicate to the other person, she or like the other person then communicates that back to them, and then you need to find somehow equilibrium. So what if I'm the intimidated, soothing person, the other one's just like spanked on the ass all the time, then we need to find an equilibrium, For sure. I guess.
For sure, yeah. And there's also, you need to find out your common ground, more or less. One example is one person saying, oh, I love sex in the shower. And then the other person is, oh no, I hate this, please don't, right? And then they go out of the situation and they think, damn, we're just not, we're not a match, right? We're just not a match, it doesn't work. But then when I ask deeper questions and I go, and so why do you enjoy sex in the shower? The other person says, well, because I like the water and I feel like it helps me to feel more and I get aroused more fast. And then the other person says, but if it's that, I also like water in general. It's not that I don't like water. It's just that I don't like standing there in the shower. I'm always afraid of falling or tripping and hurting myself, and then I can't relax and I can't control myself. And then we're like, okay, then common ground is bath tube, for example, right? Or some other setting.
Yeah.
It's always a matter about how you talk about it.
Okay.
If you say, I don't like this, oh, you don't like, okay, then we're out.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
It doesn't work.
On the one hand, I hear many people saying topic long-term relationship. Mm-hmm. That at some point, you know, I just read a funny quote where this is like sex becomes more like a service that has to be done now and then. Best case every Sunday after Tatort, which is a German TV series. Mm-hmm. So that's the one side of it. On the other hand, I'm thinking all these things that you described, so getting to know the partner better, communicating the desires and like feeling each other, probably something that develops more over time. Mm-hmm. So now we have these two things. So what do you think about long-term relationship sex then?
So what I noticed, the couples that I don't see here that have young children, they're usually the ones that actually do schedule sex or intimacy, not sex, but intimacy, right? Whatever their sexual definition of sex is. So because the thing is, when we are children, can be a lot of fun, right? But they can also mean a lot of stress, extra stress. If you don't take time for each other, the connection will just, fade. So it's important schedule time together and just say, okay, even if we're very tired now today, we're just gonna be together and feel each other naked. It doesn't have to mean that we need to have, vaginal sex, or as people say, penetrative sex, which I don't like that much, but it's just that we create a room where we have intimacy, where we're naked together and we feel each other. And I think that is very important, because with the stress that is on, we just lose this, right? So it's important to just make time. And then the second part comes in. Of course, the time that you take, even if you're exhausted, it's like a mental thing, okay? It's more or less like fake it until you make it. You're like, okay, the mood needs to be like, okay, at least I'm gonna try to get into this today. And then if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. It's okay, right? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. It's all a can, nothing is a must. And then the second part is, how do you make those date nights, more or less, that you have, the intimacy dates, how do you create them in a way that they're both wanted from both sides, right? Do you have the sex that is worth to be wanted, or do you have the sex that is just a duty? Mm-hmm. Right? And often people think, what, scheduling sex? That sounds so unromantic, that is a no-go. Well, that's because there's a big myth around that lust is just there spontaneously. It's just there. But when we look at it scientifically also, it's never like this. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of different circumstances that lead to the fact that we have desire or feel desired, or not. And you just got to learn your own.
But still then, even if you have scheduled sex, you still need to make the time for the whole experience, no? Not like at the other SZ article that I read, there's like directly at the genitals and let's go. No, there has to be also the foreplay, no? And the whole experience. Or what do you think? I
think that's up to every couple itself. Sometimes there's no right or wrong, right? Sometimes the quicker sex is good, sometimes slower sex is better. But from what I can see is that, yes, taking time, creating an environment where everybody feels, safe, seen, is helping a lot. So, and then the more often they have this, the more often the quick sex during the day, whatever, touching each other, kissing, in between, whatever, happens more also. It's like inspiring each other.
And what happens if you're together already for a long time and somehow it gets, boring, or I cannot relate so much because I've never been in an 8-year relationship or something, but I've heard stories that at some point it's like, there's like missing the spice and so on. What kind of recommendation would you give to long-term couples there?
So again, I would also try to understand what's so important about the spice, what kind of spice is missing, what's so important about the spice, right? Because sometimes this can be more or less, again, understanding what exactly is the spice and so on. Because I don't have a solution for them. But in general, I mean, it's also about, do you have the feeling that you can experiment things, that you have the freedom to do things because you know 100% that you can trust your partner, that your partner says no when he or she doesn't want anything. And of course, there are also a lot of, toolkits that you can use, questions, boxes with questions, these kind of things to learn more about the other person. You can write down both your ideal sexual scenario, right? Both of you individually, and then read it out loud to the other person. Of course, there are methods and ways to find it, but I think the most important is really to make time for each other. Mm-hmm. For some people, it's easier to enter via the physiological system. For some, it's more over the social. For some, it's more the own expectations and so on. I usually have the feeling we need to kind of like twist all of them a bit. Mm-hmm. Sometimes one person reacts more to like, I'm really focusing on my body, trying to relax my body, and I focus on this, and then the other systems relax automatically themselves. Or some people say, no, I talk to my partner and I have the gut to say, hey, I'm actually not happy with the sex, or I feel anxious, and then the whole system can relax. Or other people like to take notes, write down, calm their thoughts, and then go into the meetings with, I say in German, Spaß suggerieren. Like they go in and they're like, okay, today's gonna be great. Fake it until you make it, right?
Yeah.
And then it changes. So you just gotta find out what's the best approach for you.
Mm-hmm. Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
That was so cool. Thank you very much,
You're
Sarah.
welcome. Yeah.
We do our rating, with the rating, the recap. So, spirituality rating, what do you give?
1 out of 5.
Alright, why is it a bit spiritual?
I think because also the soul part definitely plays a role in sexuality and like being connected to yourself.
Alright, so 1 out of 5, then the overall growth rating to go to a sex therapist, I would say if you have issues, probably super high. For prevention, probably also.
I mean, if you want to feel happy, healthy, and have good sex, then it's a good idea. If you don't want it, then
that's not a good idea. And it's such an important part in life.
And in relationships.
So we give it a 4.5.
What is missing to a 5?
I don't know. Maybe it's even a 5.
It's a 5.
Okay, it's a 5.
It's like
it's
basic,
the most important thing.
No, it's a basic necessity need.
Yeah.
In life, which is also important part of any healthy relationship.
The overall rating now with Sarah, what would you say? How was it?
It was a 5 for me.
Yeah.
How was it? What was it for you?
She was super knowledgeable. Just watched you talk, but I learned so many things.
Do you think you can get rid of your porn addiction now, Benny?
I now have the step-by-step guide. We can make an episode about it.
Let's pray for Benny.
No, but we had the men's circle last week. And there it was.
We're not allowed to talk about the topics.
But there was some similar topics coming up. So that was interesting. And what is the main learning for you? What was something that take away?
That basically I think what is still stuck in my head is when she said that if you have like a dysfunction or something's not working right, then be it premature ejaculation or erectile dysfunctions or whatever, then you mustn't see it as a weakness, but rather as an opportunity that your body is telling you something, which maybe even has some overlap in other parts of your life. So something I think good. That was really, really mind-blowing for me.
All right.
What about you?
For me, it's all connected, right? So that, if you have problems there, or also in the relationship, or like in the sex part, then it's connected to not only the physical part, but also the emotional part and the brain and what you think, and external factors, like we said, right? That it's very much all connected. And what I found interesting that you have to find out for you, like what does it make good. And I have the feeling that we are in a society where there's a lot of like external factors
that tell you what is good.
Yeah, exactly.
And you notice, that's not even for me.
And for men, especially for the peer pressure, let's say, or how we talk about it.
And don't talk about it.
I mean, it was nothing new, but it was good to hear from the expert that's the case.
And what do you think about scheduled sex, Mr. Long-term relationship?
I don't know, man. It feels strange. But I think it would, for me, it would be strange. You?
I think she had a valid point that otherwise it's falling. You lose it probably because life gets in your way and you have children and so busy, and then another day, let's wait when the time is right, and then I guess sometimes it's just important to be with you, and sometimes it also doesn't need to evolve into sex or whatever sex is for you. It can also be just like intimacy and
I think more like a scheduled date, but what we had some sort of these things, but then it feels always a bit like
artificial,
pressured, pressured that then it has to happen, and then it's but I think what she said, which is maybe more the better approach, that you then, like you said, you just have intimacy rather than already
and then what comes
knowing.
is coming, what not is not.
Yeah.
Now we are sex experts. Nice.